You were a founding member, in fact you're the last surviving member of the Thomas More Society, which was established in 1945.
That's right, yes.
And I would like to talk to you a little bit about the need for the creation of the Thomas More Society, because I know that it was a group of barristers and a group of solicitors who were Catholic barristers, Catholic solicitors, who thought it would be a good idea to form a society which would cater for their needs.
Yes.
That was one of the aims, wasn't it, for setting it up?
Yeah, it really started, I think, back in the 1930s, early 30s, when a group of a few, I think, former judges and some of the senior members of the bar decided there should be what they call a Red Mass in Sydney, and the committee was formed then for that purpose, to follow what was happening in other parts of the world, namely in London and I think parts of America. And it was established and got off the ground. And then some of those same members then in the early 40s decided they wanted to have a society which deals with their particular religious views, morals and cultures and so on. And that's really how it started off, I think, to bring together a group of, I must say in those days, men, legal practitioners. There weren't many, very, apart from one or two, any women at the bar. And the idea was to give them a forum for discussion of matters of Christian ethics and matters of morality, and to be a voice for the good. And that's really how I thought it started. They envisaged that there would be a society which would meet regularly for discussions and to engage experts on matters of Christian ethics and morality.
I know that one of the topics that was addressed and obviously looked at over the years was the role of Catholic judges, Catholic barristers and Catholics in divorce. And I imagine practitioners back then, and maybe now too, I don't know, but there would have been concern about having, for example, a practice in divorce, and that might go contrary to the religion, and that might cause some discomfort for some people.
I think some felt that way, and I think there were some legal practitioners who took the view that they wouldn't handle divorce. Now, that was probably from a religious point of view and may also be from a different point of view, but basically there were those who declined to do divorce cases. And it arose fairly early in the piece, I think about late 40s, when advice was sought, and the spiritual director of the society then was Dr. James Carroll. He was a doctor of canon law. Later on became Archbishop James Carroll. And he gave advice then that there was nothing wrong in a Catholic member of the legal profession or a judge hearing and deciding upon, presenting and hearing and deciding upon the merits of the case, because they were a mere instrument of the country's legislation. That's as I saw it anyway.
Yes, and you continued as a member throughout all these years. What else?
Yes.
What else did the Thomas More Society actually do?
Well, apart from, as I say, they run now the Red Mass and opening of Lord Term. They have their what they call retreat days, usually a weekend in the early part of the year, and we're not always, but more so a few years ago than currently, they have at least 3 or 4 meetings a year discussing topics of common interest. For instance, in the past, we've had Sir Garfield talking. He spoke when he was a junior barrister. No, sorry, he was KC then, back in 1947, I think, or 48. And other members of the legal profession who had a special jurisdiction in, or a special view on Christian ethics and morality.
Were there many Catholic barristers at the bar in the 40s and the 50s?
Not a great number. I couldn't tell you offhand how many, but there were a few prominent ones. such as Eric Miller, he was a prominent one at the time. Can't come to. I think there was a barrister, Brian Clancy. He did a lot of liquor work. I think he was a leading Catholic member. And of course, famous John McClemens, Jock McClemens, known as Jock.
Oh, yes.
He was John Henry, I think, John Henry McClemens, yeah. And he became a judge of the Supreme Court in the 60s, or late 50s rather, yeah.
You mentioned Eric Miller, KC, just a moment ago. Did you work with him much?
I did a fair deal of work with Eric, yes. He was a superb counsel, quietly spoken in chambers, taciturn, and perhaps to the extreme sometimes, but he always appeared to me to be a builder. Now, he'd do a common law case and he'd start at the bottom, and you could see he was just building this big house, building up big damages as he went along. He had a good technique, yes.
Yes. Was that important for your own style as a barrister?
It was, really. You learn from people like that, and working with him was great experience, because it's not just what you do in court, it's what you do out of court sometimes, and your preparation for the case, your ability to be able to see something which might lead to a new witness or a new legal point. They don't always occur in the courtroom.